Okay, it says that we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm going to check the Facebook page really quick to make sure I see us. Okay, I see your picture. If you guys are there, we're just going to take a minute to make sure everything is hunky-dory, which nobody ever says before we start. Okay, it says that we're live. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm going to check the Facebook page to make sure I see us. All right. Closing the Facebook page because it's talking to me. So picture. Where is that from? You guys are there. We're just going to.
It might be from mine. Sorry.
Make sure it's hunky-dory, which nobody ever. Yeah, so it's like a 10 or 15 second lag. Okay, so for anyone who's here on YouTube or in the Facebook group, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, just go ahead and use the chat. We're using a forum that wants to get your permission to put your name with your comments, so it's going to ask you to say whether or not that's okay. You don't have to say yes, but it does help me to know who's talking so that I can talk to you and use your name. Let me just make sure that I can see comments. Here we go. Okay, so if you comment, I should be able to see you. Hilary, if you catch something, then let me know. So we're doing our interview with Hilary Austin. Hilary Austin is an everyday amazing woman. I wanted to do a series with women who accomplish in their lives just doing what we do. Hilary is a great example of that. So let's just start out really quickly. Hilary, just tell us a little bit about you so we can hear you and know something about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hilary Austin. I'm actually a real estate agent with Realty Executives. I met Melissa through real estate. I helped her buy and sell a home last year. It was an absolute pleasure. I have been in the business about 6.5 years. I am a mother to 4 children. My daughter is 22 and my sons are 18. I have triplets that were a surprise. At my 20-week ultrasound, I found out there was 3 babies in there. I ran my own business for 15 years and now I run my own real estate because that's what I'm considered as my own entity. I was born and raised in Arizona, spent a little time in San Diego with my husband, who is in the Navy. So I'm a military spouse as well. I love what I do. I'm a people person. I believe in empowering other women, which is probably why Melissa and I hit it off like we did. I'm a firm believer in honesty and truth and commitment. I believe that having few really good friends is much better than having 1,000 semi-mediocre friends. So those that are my friends will tell you I stick very close to those that I love, and I love with my whole heart and my whole being. So kind of in a nutshell, that's who I am. I married my high school sweetheart. He and I have been together since I was 14. I just celebrated my 41st birthday on Monday in Maui, which was fantastic. I swam with sea turtles and watched whales and had an amazing week. I'm a big time goal setter, and that's a goal I set 5 years ago for myself. Was to take my family to Maui in 2021 for my son's senior year. And I made it happen. A lot of hard work, a vision board, which I am a firm believer in. In fact, I have a photo of me holding that vision board in Maui cool. For a little proof of work hard, play harder. So that's who I am.
A good idea. That's a good memento. You know, the culmination of a goal that came together. So that story
Absolutely.
about you with your triplets, I love this story, and I would love to hear you tell it a little more of it. So you had said that you knew you were having twins, right? And then you went to a doctor's appointment and found out it was actually triplets. And what did you do when you found out?
I started sobbing uncontrollably. It took some convincing with my husband to have another baby. He was just fine with our daughter. Wow. She was easygoing and literally world's easiest baby. Slept 8 or 10 hours from day one. Is super relaxed, has always been. And so I went to the ultrasound on my own. This was our second baby, and my husband works a lot, and so he was at work, and I went to go, do the typical 20-week, find out if it's a girl or a boy scan, and the poor ultrasound tech, it was her first ultrasound ever.
Oh, wow.
And she put the little nipple thing in my belly and was like, and that's never good when somebody makes that face when they're, checking out your baby.
Right.
And she just was like, is this your first ultrasound? And I was like, well, the first with this pregnancy, because back then, 18 and a half years ago, they didn't do them every appointment. They just did them at 20 weeks. And then if you were high risk.
Wow.
So yeah, an hour and a half later, I was out of there. She, just kept going. She said, well, this is baby A, and this is baby B. And then my heart started to palpitate, and she's like, and this is baby C. And I literally was like, please stop. Like, I actually said it out loud. I was like, please stop. Because I did not expect that. We were not expecting that I was pregnant with more than one. It does not run in my family. I did not do in vitro of any sort. It's like my curly hair was God's way of saying you have no control over what's happening. I think that's why God gave me curly hair, because I like to have control of situations. So I joke now that that's probably why he gave me 3 boys at the same time as well, as he's like, oh, you got this, it's fine. So
we'll show you what you're made of, right?
Yeah.
You found out.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, you're still
people ask me all the time. They say,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a lag.
People ask me all the time. Yeah, that's okay. They would say, how did you do it? And I look at them and I say, I never had another choice.
Yeah.
Like, no one wanted to do my job for me. And I kind of live life like that. I didn't have a choice. This is what I was given. And every night when we bathed them, I would say, oh, I just can't imagine bathing one more baby. My husband would say, you would say that if we had 10. You would say, I just don't know how we'd bathe another baby. You just do it. You get in a routine. And so that's what I did.
Right. Yeah. I mean, every day your feet hit the ground no matter what, right? The kids are still there no matter what you do. You can do it one way or another, but, was there ever a moment where you decided, okay, Hilary, like your self-talk, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this the best that I can, and I'm going to rock this? Or were you just like, oh my God, every day, can I do this?
I think it was a combination of both. For obviously 16 weeks after that, everyone was like, oh my God, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to have 3 babies. Like, what else am I going to do? I definitely think that there was some self-talk. I wanted to be a mom since I was 10 or 11. I always wanted kids. I grew up around kids. I was a nanny at the age of 12. I come from a large family. We do babies, we do kids. So I think a lot of my self-talk was like, all right, you got this. I think, it'll be fine. I'm not going to ask for help. And so I think that was my biggest self-talk, was I had to learn that, like, you cannot do all of this on your own. You cannot take, 4 kids, 3 of which were infants and a toddler, to the grocery store if you need to just go get apples and bananas. Like, you need to ask for help. And so I think that was probably my biggest thing that I really had to, it wasn't adjusting to the amount of babies I was having. It was adjusting to learn to ask for help, because I'm just a doer. I just get up and I make it happen. Even if I'm running on empty. So yeah, I think I never really got to the point where I was like, what am I going to do? It was just, hey, like, learn to ask for help. You're not going to have control over every situation.
Right.
And I think that really,
I think that's the beauty of situations that really push us to our limits, is that, we have a choice to crumble, or we have a choice to figure it out, and there's not a lot in between, in your case, especially because you already had a walking toddler and 3 babies, I mean, I can only imagine what it was like when the 3 babies started walking and you had 4 running around. Oh my gosh. Do you have any stories that are just like, yeah, remember that one time when we lit the house on fire and so-and-so was running around with a knife, and then somebody else got hit in the eye? And
yeah. a little part about when the boys were all home, because of course they spent the first month basically in the NICU. They were born exactly 6 weeks early. We had one baby at a time come home, which was, I look back and it was a blessing, because it was like, okay, we've got this figured out. We do one baby, and then another one came home a week later. It's like, okay, we can do this. I got 2 arms, 2 boobs, we can do this. Right. And then the third one came home and it was like, oh, okay, we're gonna have to kind of refigure this out. So when that happened, my husband was actually working 2 jobs and was in the middle of getting his bachelor's degree. So it was like being a full-time single mom. I memean, he helped when he could. He was always very, very supportive. But I was just very fortunate that I'm a doer, and so I made it happen. I got up and I did things. But certainly stories of just thinking, this is it. Everyone can just cry, and my first wasn't a crier. And so, one of my boys wasn't a crier, and one he cried until he was a year old, 24/7, because he had reflux. And then I had another one that was kind of in the middle. And so that again was a blessing, because thank God they weren't all 3 24/7 criers. Thank God they all 3 didn't have reflux. Right. But there was definitely scenarios where I was like, it's fine. I know that I've done everything I can. He's fed, he's changed. I know he's comfortable. And he's just going to cry it out. And sometimes all 6 of us sat and cried it out, and that's okay. And I had to learn that very quickly, that it's okay that everyone's just going to sit and cry it out, because as long as I know everyone is safe and well cared for, and I'm doing the best I can. Right. But we had a lot of instances where I was sure the house was going to burn down and everyone was going to starve to death.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. Well, what was something about you before all of this came into your life, a strength or strengths that you had that you think helped get you through all of it?
Determination and organization, for sure. I've always been pretty organized. I've always been a list person. I kind of plan out my day, my week, my year. As I've gotten into real estate, that has intensified more. But even as a young person, a young adult, I got an idea in my head. I back then I wasn't calling them goals, but I had a mission and I was going to complete it. So when we found out, that obviously we're having a lot more babies than we anticipated, I was like, all right, we got this. We're going to figure it out. I got to buy a new house, because the one we lived in did not support the ability to have 3 babies in one room. So I definitely think organization, determination, I think kind of some of those kind of go hand in hand, but definitely, organized. I thought I was put together, and then I had 3 babies. I wasn't as put together as I thought I was, but I think organization was key, because we kept a schedule. We were consistent with that. And consistency certainly has been a huge empowerment over the years of, if I didn't do anything right, if I was failing as a parent or felt like I was failing as a parent, I knew I was doing something consistently. And that's what I stuck with, was these are my values. This is what we do. I'm going to be consistent with that. So consistency, organization.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have, I know that you don't drink now, but did you ever have any moments where you were like, I'm going to start drinking. I'm going to do drugs. Or I'm going to start hitting that stuff. So I can get through this.
Yeah, not drugs. I mean, both of my dad's sisters were raging alcoholics. And not a lot of people know this, but my husband was an alcoholic for 15 years of our marriage. He's since completely, recovered, 4 years totally clean. But definitely thought maybe, but it was about a 10-second thought, and that was it, because I come from a family with very addictive personalities. And I have seen what it does to them. My brother nearly died from alcoholism. And so I think I've seen enough of what that does to people that I love dearly, that I was like, no, I'll start playing the piano. I'll read a book.
Right. That's your boundary. That was one of your boundaries. I'm not going there.
Something. And I don't like.
Sorry, the internet is choppy right now.
I still do.
You're here. I think I missed a bit of what you said. Yeah, your video is frozen for me. I think you're back now. Are you there?
Am I here?
See you. Yeah. Are we here?
Can you hear?
Let's get philosophical.
Yeah. I'm here. Are you here? Sorry.
So, were there any self-care habits that you implemented, during all, I mean, not just to say with the babies, but I know you were also working and you also had a marriage to uphold. Were there things that you decided to make a part of your life so that all of this would end up not blowing up?
I have to say that I'm not very good at that. I'm not very good at self-care. I've more than likely always been on the back burner because I put myself there, not because anybody else put me there. But definitely, I would step away. And by step away, I mean I just go on the back porch. I would know when I was feeling overwhelmed or feeling like I was losing my mind. So I would definitely just step outside. I still do that. It's been a couple of weeks, so I just find that I have to step away and collect my thoughts. And again, it might just be I sit on the back porch and watch the sunset. I do work out, but I'm a early in the morning workout person. I can't wait till the end of the day. I don't do it. So I don't really relieve my stress by working out because most of my stress comes throughout the day. And then of course I don't work out in the afternoons. So I think self-care wise, it's funny because things were to me, they were so simple when the kids were little. It was like, I'm going to shower every day. I'm going to get dressed. And so if that's considered self-care, that was self-care. And some days that took every part of my being. And again, you got to let someone cry if you know that they've been changed and they've been fed, and you hear the phantom baby cry in the background while you're taking a shower. You're like, I got to do this. I got to take the 10 minutes today. So I think I've always been good about that, of knowing when my mental cup is full, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta step out. And it's funny because I see that in a couple of my kids too. If they're stressed or they're overwhelmed, it's kind of check out. We call unplugging the monitor. So there's still stuff running in the background, but nothing going on the and that's it's part of introvert in the next body, of just knowing when to step back and take a few deep breaths. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned is showering and getting up out of bed self-care. It absolutely is. It's the basis. It's like the first floor, when we have trouble functioning, some of the smallest things are self-care. When we're completely overwhelmed, I mean, drinking a glass of water is self-care. Having a meal is self-care. So it sounds like you actually implemented something that I would coach people to do, is shower once a day. This is, it could be a 5-minute thing. You don't have to be in there for 15 minutes. Just, it's just the act. It's the act. When we do those things, we give ourselves a message, right? We give ourselves a message that we matter and that we can be at the forefront. We can be the most important for a few minutes. And we actually pick that up subconsciously, the way we treat ourselves. So those little things can actually be really, really important, to just decide, I'm going to eat an apple a day, whatever. That was one way that I got through when my kids were little, was postpartum for me hung on probably for years. And at some point I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. Like, am I going to live like this, or am I going to do something? And having my vitamins every day and drinking a morning smoothie, I was like, that's it. These are your non-negotiables. Breaking this is like breaking your leg. And I was much happier. It was crazy how much of an impact that had on my wellness and happiness. It really shifted everything. So Yes. Small things are sometimes the most important
Yeah.
self-care, going
Oh,
to Maui
absolutely.
with your self-care, your follow through on your self-promise, that was a big one. But the little
Mhm.
ones are the ones that get us through on the daily,
Right.
so good for you. That's obviously everyone is still alive, so you did a great job.
Yep.
So,
Trying.
yeah.
Still
Yeah,
takes effort every day. Like nothing's changed. I tell people all the time, I honestly feel like teenage boys are way harder than they were as
yeah,
toddlers. I mean, when they were little, it was if everybody had a snack and a nap, like the whole world could continue on.
right.
And now with the whole world at their fingertips via cell phones and laptops, that they do school on, and vehicles because they all drive. And I have two working and one that's going to start working. They're just I joke that they're cats on ice and everyone's blind and deaf because I feel like every time I turn around, I'm like, I honestly don't know where he is. Like, where's Patrick? Like, I feel like, and I feel like that, that's like mom guilt because then I'm like, I'm a terrible mother. Like, what are you doing? You should know where your kids are. But we also joke. I'm like, I don't know, it wasn't my day to babysit.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I mean, as toddlers, I always knew where everyone was, and I knew when they were gonna, go to bed and what they were having for dinner and all that. So it's just a different challenge now, and it's very challenging as a senior. So
when you have babies, you've got baby gates.
yeah, right, exactly. Walkers, you can put them in and you put a seatbelt on them.
You can plunk them in front of a movie. All good. Now,
even if it buys you 5 minutes, like, I'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not quite there, but I can definitely see as that freedom bubble opens up farther and farther, there's a bit of a letting go. I think from when they're small, even when they crawl and then when they walk and then they go to school and then they start graduating things and they start thinking about life and liking girls or boys, and each phase is like we have to mourn that closeness that we had. Every time they grow up a little bit, we step back, we fall back in importance. And you and I have talked about this a little bit. When we make our lives about our kids, we lose that really clear connection to what's here, who we are. And I actually like to touch on that. We had talked about this before. What's something that you wish you had done more of before, when your kids were younger?
I definitely wish I would have. Actually, there's two things I have to say. I wish I would have been better about accepting help because it would have given me more time for true self-care, even if it was an hour to, get a pedicure. I still feel guilty taking an hour to get a pedicure. I haven't had one since, well, I don't know, a year and a half ago. It's not something I do. I have guilt all the time about spending money on myself. I've never been good at that. So I think, one thing, if I could change, I would go back and accept more help. I have tons of family. Again, I come from a huge Irish family. I have aunts and uncles and my mom that's close and, plenty of people that I did get help from, but I certainly could have accepted more.
Okay.
And I think that I would, advocate for myself more. It's something I tell my kids all the time. You are your greatest advocate. Advocate for yourself. If you did something and it was right, or you turned in an assignment and the teacher hasn't graded it and it's sitting there as an F, you have to be your greatest advocate. You have to say, look, I did this and I did it right and I did it well. And I'm not good at that. I don't advocate for myself very well. I think I've gotten better at it since being in real estate. Because I work strictly by referral. So I do have to advocate for myself.
Yeah.
And I have to create advocates for me out of my clients who 90% of turn friends. I'm very relational. So I think I would advocate for myself more and stand up more for, this is right. And this is what needs to be for my mental health, for my, my mom health. I think that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, is my mom health.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between mom health and mental health.
Sure.
And with my first, I am sure that I had postpartum and just was never diagnosed, but I never had anybody check on me. I never had, I didn't have anybody that advocated for me.
Wow.
I was 18 and a half when my daughter was born.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew a lot because I'd been around children, but I was a young mom and I was a military spouse. I didn't know anybody. And I wish I would have advocated for myself in that aspect of knowing that things weren't right.
Mm-hmm.
But I never said anything because I was like, I got this, because that's unfortunately, that's how I roll.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure, I would have advocated for myself more and definitely taken more time to care for myself. So.
Well, that's the interesting part, that comes up for me when I work with women. When I hear you say, well, I was a young mom, so I didn't know how to advocate, part of me thinks, well, that's because you were young. And we're not really taught that really by our parents. Usually you're doing it with yours, but I almost think this is a woman thing, to add, well, and men too. Honestly, in our society in general, we're not really told to speak up for ourselves. Men are taught to fight. We'll just punch him in the face or break his headlights or something like that. Women, I don't know, what are you supposed to do? What's socially okay? Because when you advocate for yourself, sometimes you disrupt, right? Yes. Part of requesting or part of saying, I need something can be disruptive to other people.
Yes.
So I think that we avoid that. We're like, no, I don't want to, I don't want to mess anything up or, take from them. So I don't even know if it was a you thing. I think it's a you thing and it's a woman thing, and you were young.
Yeah, I agree.
The cool part is that now, you're still young. You're 40.
Right.
And you already get that,
Yeah.
I've been getting it over the last few years, and the women that I work with don't get it. And it's caused a tremendous amount of pain for them to not just speak up to others, but to really speak up within themselves. That's first, right? Is to say, it's that mirror. It's like, you know what, Hilary, you've got, you're important enough to ask for this, and then ask for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think women naturally, at least most women that I know, they just put everyone first, everyone else. And so I think that's where we don't advocate enough for ourselves either, is it's like you said, it might hurt so-and-so's feeling, or it might come off that I'm being, cocky or bitchy or whatever word you want to call it. And I mean, that's what I was known for in high school, as I was bitchy. And it's because I was no bullshit either. I just was like, this is how it works. This is how it is. I don't need you to be my friend, because I have my group of friends. I was kind to everybody. I always, I'm one, I smile at people. I say hello. My kids think I'm a weirdo because I say hello and greet everybody. I don't care how old you are, if you're 2 or you're 82. Yeah. I treat you the same way. Yeah. But I think that we naturally, as women, and then when you become a mother, you just put people first. Put other people first, always. Whether it's your family or someone else, you're not there to offend someone. And sometimes that can hurt us more than anything. Yeah.
I mean, what we do is we build up the outside world, right? We internally we start to see the world as everyone else is the world, and we get this hole inside. It's like an emptiness. If I'm always trying to please everyone else and I'm not considering my needs, then we end up at this emptiness. And luckily you've been in a marriage forever, and so you haven't been in the position where you're out in the world lonely and looking for something to fulfill that hole. You have your family, but it does happen with a lot of women where they're pleasers, or they don't learn to ask for themselves or ask for things for themselves. And then they end up with this emptiness, and they're just like shoving, oh, you like me? Okay. Oh, you're good looking. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. And I lived a lot of years surrounded by people and feeling more lonely than I've ever felt my whole life. I may have a big family. I have 4 kids and a husband, but I spent a lot of my years feeling completely alone because I felt like no one understood where I was coming from. Well, how are they going to understand if I don't tell them? And I wasn't telling people. I was just like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Everything's good. I'm an extrovert in an introvert's body. So I'm happy. But then I come home and I'm like, that's it. So, it's a lot of that is my own fault of not communicating to my husband that I feel completely alone, even though he's in the room right next to me, or, our sons are on the same couch as we. But that's being in my own head sometimes too. And so I have to learn that, like, they are here, but you need to advocate for yourself and say, you know what? I think today sucked. Like, let's make it better. So that I'm still learning on that to speak up.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of time. That's for sure. So what would you say was something that you and your husband, to be able to get through, they say it's the lean years, right? When your kids are little and money's tight and you're kind of living on fumes, what were there any things that you guys did? Were you, churchgoers, or did you, make sure you talked a lot, or was there anything you implemented in your relationship to be able to get through all that?
2 things that we are both very, very good at is transparency and gratitude. Gratitude saved my marriage 4.5 years ago. I'll tell you that right now. And transparency. You get tired of things over years, and I was protecting our kids by keeping my mouth shut, which I'm not good at. I'll tell you that, all of you that right now. I do not keep my mouth shut. If I have something to say, I say it. Most people don't ever wonder what I'm thinking, but I can do it with grace, and I can do it with patience, and I can do it with kindness. And you still know what I'm saying and what I'm thinking. So for sure, gratitude and consistency and transparency. We are consistently, we say, I love you 1,000 times a day still. I don't care. We've been married 23 years. You're going to hear I love you, because I do not believe you can overuse that word. I told him a lot of days I didn't like him. I didn't like his actions. And he told me a lot of the days he didn't like me, and that I was not being a nice person. He puts me in check, and I put him in check. I'm very, very pragmatic, and he's very, very analytical. So we balance each other very well, because I make a decision and I just make it happen right now. He makes a decision 6 months after I ask him to make the decision, because I'm not and analytically figured out how to make it work. So a saying we have is that I shit in his shoe and just keep flying. And so he balances that. He brings me back down to earth and says, wait a minute. Now, why did you shit my shoe? And then and I've learned over the years to give him, I ask him a question, whatever. It could be, what do you want for dinner? What do you want to do next week for Memorial Day? Whatever. I give him a timeline and I say, if you'll just give me an answer by tomorrow at dinner, that'd be awesome. And then he can think about it. And I don't feel like I'm being ignored, because when I feel like I'm being ignored, I get in my own head and I'm like, he doesn't love me. That's just who I am. And so it's taken a lot of years for us to get to that point, but we've always been very, very consistent, and we've always been transparent. There's nothing ever not said between us, and maybe we don't like it, but we get over it. We get glad in the same pants we got mad in, and we talk over it. We talk about literally everything. And so I'm very fortunate that I'm married to somebody that will talk about things and will listen. And I the same. I give him that same respect. And more recently, it's gratitude. I think that plays huge in our world. I had a gratitude journal for my husband for a whole year. It was the first year that he had quit drinking. And so I wrote every day, multiple things, or just one thing a day, what I was grateful for about him. And I had a whole book full of things that I was grateful for that either had to do with him or grateful about him. Even if it was days that he was driving me crazy because he was crabby and he was not a nice person. I found something to be grateful for. And we still heavily practice that now. And I have started to do more of that with my children because I have one that is testing every single boundary that I've ever created for him. And so I am finding that I need to be more grateful for all of the good in him, even though some days it's very, very difficult.
Right.
So yeah, gratitude and transparency, I think, have been a rock.
I mean, I think you just mentioned what like every marriage and relationship guru has ever said is at the end of the day, you've got to talk and you've got to, both talk, not just one. And you have to focus on the positive and be grateful. But I think you touched on something else too there, is that I think it's important in every relationship. And I'm certainly not good at every relationship. I upset people often, regularly. But I think the people who really love me know, I am like compliment. I give compliments. I say I'm grateful. Hilary, I try to be pretty vocal with you because you're so supportive of me.
Yeah.
And that's important. And those people where, if gratitude is enough for them to stay close to me, that means they must really love me, because if gratitude isn't enough for someone, then they're not there because they love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, the fact that you guys have stayed together and been through alcoholism and having 4 little kids. And, I think that's proof positive in a way, for the gratitude and transparency practice.
Yeah. Something my mother told me right before we got married, because again, I was very, very young. We got married a month after I turned 18. She said, you just need to make sure you're 110% sure. And I said, I'm 120% sure that I will always give 110%. And she just was like, okay, you're wise beyond your words. I get it. Wise beyond your years. And I have lived with that mentality probably my whole life, is give 110%. And if you expect nothing in return, you'd be surprised what you receive. It makes it much easier to do things too, because when you expect nothing in return and you do receive it, it's pretty exceptional. And so I do give 110% pretty much in everything I do, other than working out. I don't put 110% into that. I
give like 18%.
Some days I put a little more in, but let's be honest, it's not my favorite thing.
Today was 3%. All-time low record. Yeah.
Right. Today was extra.
Yeah, it was not bad.
No, it was not 110%.
No, that's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah.
So, what would you say, to women who are having a hard time or who are unhappy? Do you have any nuggets? I know that you are a positive person. That's part of why I wanted to interview you. But the main reason why I wanted to interview you is because you're positive and you've been through shit. So I think I would love to, hear what you would say if someone was just not liking their lives or not liking themselves.
Find the good in every day. Because for a lot of years, that's all I could do. Was to find something positive, even if it's you loved the color of the lady's dress next to you and you told her that. Maybe she was having the same kind of day you are. So I think that if you can dig deep and you can find good, you also need to find your why. And if you know what your why is, why you get up every day, why you go to work, why you're setting goals, why you're doing what you're doing, even if it's why you're brushing your teeth, because that's all you could do today. Keep that why here and here at all times, right in front of you. Because I think it will be easier and easier each day to find the good, because there is good all around you, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if it feels like you're just buried and you can't do one more day. look around you. And if you can't find the good, be the good. Be the person that compliments. Be the person that, even if you get on Facebook and you just compliment one person each day, don't scroll, don't do anything. Click on one friend in your friend list and tell them they're beautiful and expect nothing in return. You'd be pretty impressed at what you do for people around you. And that joy will then come back to you 1,000%. Dig deep, find your why, keep that why in front of you, and find good. If you can't find anything good, do the good. It's pretty easy, actually. Doing good is actually super easy.
Yeah, I think once you let go of getting good back and just take joy in doing the good, then it becomes fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. So let's see, I think I asked you everything. If anyone on here has questions, we've had 3 people who seem to have stuck it out through the whole thing. So if you guys have any questions or anything you want to say, I would, love to see some gratitude typed in. I'm not sure if it's going to show up because I'm on StreamYard. It might just show up on the Facebook thread, but just gives Hilary some love either now or if you watch this later, because this video will be up for a month or so on the Facebook group, and it will be up indefinitely on YouTube to just give some love to Hilary for the amazing woman that she is on a daily basis, just getting up out of bed and hitting the ground and figuring out what to do next.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. I just want to do a couple of announcement, group things. And Hilary, if you want to stay a member of the group, you're completely invited, and we're glad to have you if you want to stay.
Sure, absolutely.
So I want to say, if anyone else in the group has a story of encouragement or, a challenge that they've gone through and are dealing with, or have already gotten through, contact me and I will chat with you about getting another interview going. I want to do these more often. I have a handful of you in mind. Sometimes people say no because they're shy, and that's okay. Maybe once they see people like Hilary going out on a limb and doing this, maybe they'll want to do it. So contact me. If you want to share this video with someone you think it would help, and they're a woman, invite them to the group so they can see it. If you don't want to do that, then you can go to my YouTube channel, Raise the Bar Wellness, like my channel, like this video, and share it. I could use all the help that I can get. At this point, I need grassroots help because it's the internet. And when it comes down to is, I think, I can have all the good intentions in the world that I want, but if I don't have my community boosting me up in my YouTube and my Instagram and in my Facebook, then I will fall flat on my face. It's a dog eat dog world out there. So point being, like this, share this. I really need some shares on the videos and things like that I do. So also, I want to see you guys post more in the group. I want this to be a supportive group. There's almost 400 people in here, and I think we don't know what each person goes through on a daily basis. I know there's at least a couple dozen women on here who have been through some very, very challenging things in life. And we're here for a reason. We need each other more than ever right now, especially after this last year where things have fallen apart. And a lot of women, I think, in this group might be alone. So every time we post jokes or we post something inspiring here, even if no one likes it, someone might have seen it and it might change their day. So I'd really like to see more people sharing here. I know I share here. Jennifer Moza puts some stuff up sometimes too. But everyone is free to post things and invite your friends. If you have any women friends who might benefit from this, invite them. I'm going to be doing more interviews. I'm even talking to this cool guy who does men's work. And I'm talking to him about maybe getting our worlds together a bit so that we can help educate each other about what women go through and what men go through.
Awesome.
Which sounds exciting to me. But I'm stepping this group up to another level. I have plans. I want to shake the foundation of this lack of self-worth that women have. I don't like it. I think we are freaking incredible, and it's ridiculous that society and our partners and our family members allow us to not feel good about ourselves, because there's no reason for that. There should be no room for that in society. So the work that I'm doing is to help each and every woman find their strengths, find something they love, and find their reason. Even if people have been shitting on you all of your life, it's not as important as the beauty inside of you. That stuff, goodbye, right? Hello, you. Let's build that up, right? Let's build up that inner bubble. It comes from in here. And I know this from experience. If you've hung out for long enough, you know a little bit about my story. I will tell more over time. But I was a little slip of nothing. I felt like I was nothing, and I believed that I was nothing. And now I'm helping other women. So share stuff, be here, support me. If you're interested in signing up for sessions with me, I am here. I am a very inspired person, and I'm a great person to have in your corner. So thank you so much, Hilary, for being here. You're an inspiration. Your positivity, really, you're just a light in my world, and I'm really glad that I met you. So
thank you. Me too. Feelings mutual.
Yay.
Yay.
Lights together. Even when we're dark and shitty. Even on those days.
Right.
Even on those days. So someone said thank you for the talk.
Absolutely, Anna. It's my pleasure. Thanks for joining us and watching.
Yep. All right, ladies. You have a fantastic night, and I will see you again soon.
Yes, you will.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.